All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this daily forecast for tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be Thursday, August 20th. So let's start by looking at the economy calendar here. As you can see, tomorrow, Thursday, we pretty much have nothing except unemployment claims for the US dollar at 8:30. So overall, medium impact expected. So not expecting a lot from tomorrow. But I'm saying that, and I said the same thing for today in yesterday's forecast, and I ended up being wrong. Today we actually got a surprise, and I want to show you this before we start anything else. On the long end of the curve, Treasury bonds, well, the US government bonds, look at the move we got this morning. What happened? We just had Scott Bessent, so the Treasury Secretary, literally just posting on X and saying that the U.S. Treasury was going to buy back a lot of government bonds, and that sent the bonds very low. So we have the 5 year here, the 10 year, and the long end of the curve, the 30 year. That's even worse. And well, worse depend on your perspective, but why did Scott Besson do that? It's because yesterday we reached the highest bond yields in over, well, almost a decade. And that is not good. That is not a good sign for the economy. And so, in order to stabilize the market, calm the market, Scott Bessent came out with this announcement that the Treasury was going to buy a lot of U.S. government bonds. So, in my opinion, this is a very temporary fix to a bigger problem. And so the reaction we got today on the bond market is to the downside, but that affected everything else. It affected the dollar, it affected the metals, and pretty much everything else, Bitcoin as well. And the indices weren't that impacted, to be honest. I was expecting more, but overall, when it comes to currency markets, everything was heavily um, impacted by this announcement. And so right now we need to kind of like remake a new plan for this change in behavior in the markets. So if we start by looking at the dollar here, um, well, as you can see, we almost lost a full percentage point here on the dollar today from this daily fair value gap. That's not what we were expecting yesterday, but with the announcement of, the Treasury buying more bonds, well, obviously that was going to send the dollar lower. So massive move lower today. Very concerning. And I am starting to ask myself a very important question, and that is, are we actually going to retrace back inside this monthly fair value gap right here? Because remember, we were expecting higher prices on the dollar only as a retracement back inside this bearish fair value gap, which I'm starting to question right now. I think somehow we already started to move lower, and we're not going to go back up. So that's a possibility. It's frightening, but we have to keep it in mind, because look at how we just broke through that golden level without any resistance. That shows a lot of bearish strength. I mean, there is still a bullish case where we could just simply sweep this low, this swing low right there, and start going higher from that 0.75 level. But I have to be honest with you, this is not the most likely scenario right now. Um, I think we could have started the actual bearish move that I was expected for the long run. Because remember, on the dollar, with the economic crisis and coming and everything, we have all these lows down here to reach. So we know that long term, the dollar is going to be lower. I just didn't think it was going to start now. But honestly, that's what it looks like right now. So with that said, um, dollar, well, obviously, we can get some lower prices tomorrow again from this 4 hour fair value gap. So let's take a look at the majors. Which one is the most interesting? No, this is not interesting. GU. GU has a clear target in the form of this high, and then on the 4 hour, we have the 4 hour fair value gap right here. We already got a sting into it, so not great, but maybe the two candle rejection. What I would do here is monitor that two candle rejection. If the second candle can expand, then we have a clear target that could be interesting for long. EU, well, same scenario here on EU. That actually looks a lot like the dollar itself. And we have, well, we will have in 5 minutes, we will create this 4 hour fair value gap overlapping with the golden level. So that looks like a very interesting area to take a trade from for a long, targeting, well, potentially targeting this swing high, which we could potentially sweep, but eventually I think the most likely thing for price to do is to reach back for that 0.75 level. Okay? So EU is still interesting. New Zealand dollar, US dollar right here. We have clear target up there. On the 4 hour, yeah, 4 hour does look good as well. To continue higher, overlapping with a fair value area as well. Yeah, this does look good to continue higher. The problem is the target is quite far. The daily target, I mean, it's quite far. I don't think we can reach that in one single day, but potentially before the end of the week. Let's see, but we do have this 4 hour target right there. That could be the next target. Let's keep an eye on it. Then after that we have USD Canadian. USD Canadian, right now it's hard to tell here because we did close below that golden level. Do we have, yeah, we do have a 4 hour fair value gap as well. Yeah, that does look very bearish. We have to be objective here. And if we look at the higher time frames here on USD Canadian, this should also be continuing lower because we are sweeping on the monthly time frame, we are sweeping this right here. And it makes sense right now that we are going lower. So yeah, lower prices here on USD Canadian from this 4 hour fair value gap tomorrow. USD CHF, well, this one just had a retracement back inside of a monthly fair value gap, so I wouldn't be touching that right now because we could get a rejection. It is, I mean, at the end of the day, it is a monthly fair value gap, so it could be very strong. So this one, I'm not going to put it in the interest list. And then USD JPY, no, this is not great. Well, actually, yeah, it is not that bad. Let me show you. We have this target right there. Then on the 4 hour, we have this fair value gap, which we already got a sting into though. Yeah, USD JPY, I wouldn't put it on the interest list because it seems like it kind of already delivered from that 4 hour fair value gap, and I don't think it's going to retrace all the way back up. So it might be hard to find an entry here. But I guess we can put it on the interest list just like to monitor it, but not actually, you know, trade on it. So I'll keep an eye on this one, but it does seem like the move already happened and will continue, and it's going to be hard to find an entry in there. Then the metals, gold. Well, again, like I said, we got a huge surprise today that was not expected. With yesterday's candle, sorry, I'm going to remove this. With yesterday's candle, it was really clear the target was the weekly fair value gap, but we never reached it. We just swept Tuesday's low, and then it just exploded higher, which it was not supposed to do, right? There was a beautiful setup for a short. I actually got trapped into it. I was in a short position. I think it was like here, somewhere around here. I had a stop loss right there. And then in literally less than 2 minutes, I got taken out by this announcement that, again, doesn't make any sense. It's just a temporary fix to a bigger problem. So overall, I'm still keeping my long-term bias that is bearish on gold. And again, we were expecting price to reach that golden level. So this is not, yes, it was a surprise that it happened today, but I expected it to happen later during the week anyways. So it's not that big of a surprise. I still think we can continue lower from this golden level, even though right now it doesn't look like it. Um, and we could also maybe, if we need more liquidity, we could sweep this high. But that's not my let's say my best scenario right here. So at the moment, gold, I would say wait. I would say wait because, we have moved so much. These are all breakaway fair value gaps. You don't want to get caught in there. So wait until, well, Friday. Okay. So tomorrow, take a step back on the metals. Let's wait to see. First of all, can we create a daily fair value gap? That's the first question, and we most likely will. And then on Friday we can look to take a trade. But right now, this is just waiting because this move is only driven by macro news. It is not backed up by any logic whatsoever. So you want to stay away from that. Uh, Here on silver, this move makes a little bit more sense because we did get this thing inside the weekly fair value gap. So actually, the trade today, the good trade to take was right here on silver from the weekly fair value gap. We probably had a very nice setup right here. Let's see. Yeah, the entry was right there. I missed it. I missed it, but that was a beautiful opportunity right here on silver. But overall, we're expecting still higher prices, and we're expecting higher prices until we reach that zero point 0.5 level. From there, this is where we're going to get the real move going lower. So higher prices tomorrow on silver, but I would honestly just wait for another fair value gap to get created here. All right, so that's it for the metals. Moving on to crude oil. So crude oil today, we got this thing inside, inside the daily fair value gap. Then at some point during the day, we were up like 1.5%, I remember, and then we came all the way back down at the end of the day. I can show you here. See, we went up. We never really reached that target. We just came really close to it, and then we completely dropped. So I don't think this is anything to worry about in itself. Um, it's just a consolidation, basically. So, first candle is a rejection. I think tomorrow, the most likely thing for price to do is to sweep the rejection low that was left today, potentially also reach inside the fair value area to get more liquidity, and from there, we can get the higher prices. So, tomorrow, I'm expecting lower prices. Once we reach that fair value area, higher prices. Then Bitcoin, that was probably the biggest move of the day, up almost 7% on the day. This is quite a big move. So again, driven by that Scott Bessent tweet. So not backed up by anything fundamental. Um, but yeah, overall, we got this thing inside the monthly fair value gap. We still have all those targets to reach down here. So Bitcoin is still in that bearish market. Nothing has changed. I think this was just the move, the retracement back inside the monthly fair value gap. And from here, we can continue lower. Now, this 4 hour fair value gap right here, this massive, I've never seen such a big fair value gap in my life. Well, such a big 4 hour fair value gap. This huge fair value gap right here. will most likely fail, I think, but you have to wait for some evidence that it actually wants to fail. So wait for price to retrace back into it, then wait for it to fail, and then I think taking a short here on Bitcoin. I think it's time. I think it's time for Bitcoin to finally start dropping. Then after that, we have the indices. So that didn't really move today. It wasn't really affected by that announcement about the bonds. Um, but yeah, overall, we failed to create this bearish fair value gap, which is a bullish sign in itself. But the wick that we have at the top right here does look pretty strong. I mean, we went higher during that announcement. Again, it happened around 8 in the morning, and then we came back down. Not all the way back down, but we did go back down considerably. So again, tomorrow I'm still expecting lower prices on the indices and potentially reaching the fair value area. Then we'll see what happens after that. And then if you look at Nasdaq, Nasdaq is actually looking good for a short tomorrow from this daily fair value gap to this swing low. I think there's a clear setup right here. Boom, like this. So let's keep an eye on this, but overall lower prices on the indices tomorrow. If I was going to trade the indices, I would look at Nasdaq. Then finally we have the crosses, Canadian dollar JPY. Okay, interesting move. Um, Euro JPY, good move as well. It's hard to tell. I don't know, I'm a little bit reluctant to take a long here. I just have a bad feeling about this. Honestly, let's look at the range on this. We're respecting the 0.25. No, again, this is waiting. I'm gonna wait here tomorrow. It wouldn't take a long here. It does look like if you look at Australian dollar JPY, it does look like we might go down even lower to get some more liquidity down here to then continue higher. So don't take a long right now on the JPY pairs. I know it does look appealing, but something feels off here. So tomorrow, wait on the JPY pairs, and then on Friday we could have a potential interesting move. Then GBP New Zealand dollar actually delivered. Wow. Okay, so lower prices for our fair value gap. Wow. Okay, this is a beautiful setup here. Let's keep an eye on this. But we were expecting lower prices overall. Yesterday in the forecast, I specifically kept this pair in the interest list because I said, even though it doesn't look like it right now, I just had this gut feeling last night that we could continue lower. And look at that, we did. So right now, it does look interesting to continue lower from this for our fair value gap, something a little bit like this. And we have a clear target down here. I really like it. Let's keep an eye on it. And then GBP Australian dollar, did anything change? Nothing changed here. So the only cross that I would take a look at tomorrow is GBP New Zealand dollar. Other than that, there's nothing. Then on the indices, lower prices tomorrow. And if you want to take a trade, Nasdaq does look really good for short. Then after that, the dollar, well, I'm in a 50-50 area right now, if I'm being honest. Um, Objectively speaking, we should get lower prices tomorrow from this 4 hour fair value gap. But at the same time, we never had the retracement inside the monthly fair value gap that I was expecting a few weeks back. So I'm starting to think that we might never end up stinging inside that monthly fair value gap. We might just start going lower from here. Now, what is going to tell me, okay, am I bullish or bearish? It's going to be how price reacts to this swing low and the 0.75 level. If we start respecting it in a very nice way, then that could mean higher prices for a while. But if we just create that daily fair value gap and doesn't we don't really reject from this level here, then that means we're bearish and we're going to be bearish for a very long time. And the dollar is going to sorry, dollar is going to lose a lot of value, and that is just going to make the economic crisis arrive even faster than what we initially thought. So, yeah, that's the plan here on the dollar. And for the majors, honestly, I would only take a look at EU tomorrow. Well, actually, not even. Not even. I think I would not take a look at any majors tomorrow because I think the most likely thing for price to do right now is create that daily fair value gap right there. So forget what I said about this 4 hour fair value gap. Yes, we can have a very, very short-term move, like a tiny retracement into it, then this, but this is not worth trading. It's a very small move. Just it's probably going to be a consolidation tomorrow, so just wait for that daily fair value gap, and then we can take a look again on Friday. Then the metals, gold and silver, higher prices tomorrow. That's what we're expecting. So nothing crazy here. But if I was going to trade, I would probably take a look at silver. Silver does look much better than gold. And if we can create that 4 hour fair value gap overlapping with these highs right here, that would be interesting to target the zero point 0.5 level. Then after that, we have crude oil. So crude oil right now, we're expecting lower prices until we reach the fair value area. Then from the fair value area, higher prices. So something a little bit like this. And finally, Bitcoin. Bitcoin, well, I wouldn't trade it, but I would wait for price to retrace inside this 4 hour fair value gap. When it fails, then I wouldn't mind taking a short here. But overall, that's it for tomorrow. Honestly, most of the markets are just waiting um, because we got such big expansions today uh, because of the whole bond announcement that tomorrow is most likely going to be a consolidation to create a bunch of daily fair value gaps. So I think tomorrow we might not have anything interesting. I think the real moves are probably going to be on Friday. But we'll reassess everything tomorrow night, see if things change, and yeah, that's it. So thank you for listening, and I will see you tomorrow. Ciao.